At approximately 10:37 p.m. on Saturday, July 4th, 2026, gunfire shattered the final moments of Independence Day in Brooklyn, New York. A masked attacker dressed entirely in black walked up to a fence along Surf Avenue in Coney Island. He raised a firearm, and he opened fire into a courtyard where a family was holding a 4th of July barbecue. Within seconds, 8 people were injured. 4 of them were children. The youngest was just 6 years old. According to New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, there was no argument, no warning, no confrontation. The suspect fired 10 rounds, turned, and ran. 2 days later, no one has been arrested. And now, detectives are investigating whether this attack is tied to another incident that happened on the very same block just days earlier. This is what we currently know. The location of this attack sits near the intersection of West 30th Street and Surf Avenue in Coney Island, Brooklyn. It's a densely populated part of the neighborhood, less than 2 blocks from the famous Riegelman Boardwalk, an area filled with high-rise apartment buildings, small delis, family-run businesses, and residential courtyards, all tucked behind the amusement parks and beaches that draw tourists from around the world. On the night of July 4th, thousands of people had gathered near the boardwalk to watch fireworks and celebrate the holiday. Around one residential courtyard off Surf Avenue, an extended family had set up its own celebration. According to the NYPD, adults and children were together in the front courtyard of the building sharing a barbecue. The people gathered ranged in age from 6 to 37 years old. Investigators have not publicly released the family's name, and the victims have not been officially identified by police. What officials have confirmed is that this was a family gathering, and that the people caught in the gunfire were, in every sense, ordinary people spending a holiday together. Officers from the New York Police Department were dispatched to the scene at approximately 10:35 p.m. after receiving reports of multiple people injured. When they arrived at the courtyard, they found 8 victims. Emergency medical personnel arrived quickly and transported all 8 to nearby hospitals. Police officials, including Commissioner Jessica Tisch and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, later confirmed the breakdown of those injured. 2 men, aged 33 and 37, 2 women, aged 21 and 25, and 4 children, a 6-year-old boy, a 7-year-old boy, a 12-year-old boy, and a 14-year-old boy. 7 of the victims were listed in stable condition and are expected to recover. The 21-year-old woman remains in critical condition. Mayor Mamdani stated on Sunday morning that all 4 children are expected to survive. Officers cordoned off the area with yellow police tape. Evidence markers were placed along the sidewalk, and bicycles and children's belongings were left behind in the courtyard where the family had gathered only minutes earlier. Commissioner Tisch laid out the preliminary investigation at a Sunday morning news conference. According to her account, an unknown male dressed in all black and wearing a black ski mask approached the fence line along Surf Avenue. Without any prior confrontation, he fired multiple rounds into the courtyard. He then fled on foot, heading southbound on West 30th Street towards Surf Avenue. Detectives immediately began canvassing the area for surveillance footage. They interviewed witnesses from the barbecue. They spoke with residents from neighboring buildings, and they contacted businesses in the surrounding blocks. Investigators are examining video from residential buildings, from nearby delis, and from the boardwalk area, which was still filled with holiday crowds at the time of the incident. Commissioner Tisch also confirmed something significant. Detectives are actively investigating whether this attack may be connected to another incident that occurred earlier in the same week, on the same block. Police have not publicly named the earlier victim or fully explained how investigators believe the 2 events might be related. But what Tisch did make clear is that there was no indication of any argument or altercation involving the suspect at the barbecue before the attack. In other words, based on preliminary evidence, the family appears to have been targeted or caught in the middle of something they may not have been aware of. If you've been following this case, take a moment to think about that. The lack of any confrontation, the masked figure walking calmly up to a fence, the apparent link to an earlier incident on the same block. At the scene, investigators recovered a firearm with an extended magazine, along with 10 discharged shell casings. According to police, a backpack containing a weapon was reportedly found under some trees near the location. Authorities have not officially confirmed whether the recovered weapon was the same one used in the attack. 10 spent casings match the account of a rapid burst of fire from a single shooter, though full ballistic analysis is still underway. The NYPD has not released the identity of the suspect. They have not shared a detailed physical description beyond the clothing he was wearing that night. Investigators have also not publicly confirmed whether DNA evidence, fingerprints, or other forensic material has been recovered from the weapon or the backpack. Detectives are continuing to examine the medical records of those injured as part of their ballistic reconstruction of the scene. As of the most recent updates, no one has been arrested and no one has been charged in connection with this incident. The suspect remains at large. The NYPD has released no name and no formal criminal complaint has been filed. Any individual eventually taken into custody would be presumed innocent unless convicted in a court of law. The case is being handled as an active investigation by NYPD detectives. Commissioner Tisch and Mayor Mamdani both addressed the situation publicly on Sunday. Mamdani said, according to reporters at the news conference, that violence of this kind would not be tolerated in the city. He also referenced the broader crime picture in New York. According to NYPD data released on July 2, 2026, murders in New York City were down 24.7%, and major crime was down 5.8% in the first 6 months of the year. This attack stands out sharply against that trend. The central unanswered question in this case is simple, and it's the question detectives are working around the clock to answer. Who was this suspect, and who is he actually trying to reach? Police have publicly stated the attack was not preceded by any argument at the barbecue. They have also confirmed they are examining a possible connection to an earlier incident on the same block just days before. But whether the family gathered in that courtyard was the intended target, whether specific individuals were being sought, or whether the courtyard itself was mistaken for another location, none of that has been confirmed by investigators. Until the suspect is identified, arrested, and questioned, the motive remains officially undetermined. Think about that for a moment. An entire family sitting outside on a holiday, caught in an attack with no explanation, no arrest, and no confirmed reason. Here is what we currently know. On July 4th, 2026, at approximately 10:37 p.m., 8 people were injured at a family barbecue in a Coney Island courtyard near West 30th Street and Surf Avenue. 4 of those injured were children, ages 6, 7, 12, and 14. 7 of the 8 are expected to recover. A 21-year-old woman remains in critical condition. A firearm and 10 spent shell casings were recovered at the scene. The suspect fled on foot and has not been identified. The NYPD investigation remains active. If you want to keep following true crime cases like this one as they develop, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next update, because at this moment, in a courtyard less than 2 blocks from one of America's most famous boardwalks, 10 shell casings, 4 wounded children, and 1 masked stranger have left a family and a city still waiting for answers.